Who joined the Islamic State group in Syria but now wants to come home. She's apologised for her actions, but speaking to the BBC, Shamima Begum equated terrorist attacks in the UK with coalition action in Syria. Let's speak now to David Toube, who's the Director of Policy at Quilliam International. It's a London-based think tank that focuses on counter-extremism. Thank you for coming in.
My pleasure.
The first interview she gave, there was no remorse. There still seems to be a sense that the ideology is still very much part of her, if you like. And that's the problem when she comes back, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, she has done herself absolutely no favours. She couldn't have given a worse account of herself. And I'm sure that many people who saw the first interview and this interview will think, well, she remains a threat to people in Britain.
And so on that basis, I mean, what do you think should happen when she steps off the plane, if that's how she gets back?
Well, most people who've come back from Syria, irrespective of who they've been fighting for or involved with, end up being questioned by the police. The question then is there evidence on which she can be prosecuted? And this is obviously something we don't know anything about, but we live in an era of social and personal media. People who are teenagers very often put every thought they have into emails and tweets and personal messages. And it may be that her account, which at the moment is, I did nothing other than be a housewife, turns out to provide material for prosecution.
A lot, obviously, and rightly, has been made of the fact she was 15 when she went. But perhaps what people don't understand is how one schoolgirl in Bethnal Green, a borough of many hundreds of thousands of similar girls, how she was radicalised in that way at that time.
Well, we don't know the full details yet, and I'm sure that we will find out as this story develops. What I can tell you is that Bethnal Green is a place where there are a number of very prominent and supposedly mainstream religious and political institutions which for years and years have hosted preachers and organisations which have said the greatest thing that we could conceivably do to solve the world's problems is to create an Islamic State, and that every Muslim has an obligation to support or participate in jihad.
An Islamic State.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And I think all of those people, or perhaps almost all of those people, would say, well, we don't support this particular Islamic State because it's not a true Islamic State. But if you've grown up with authority figures telling you for all of your life that the greatest thing that could ever happen is that an Islamic State could be created, you are easy prey to people who persuade you to go over.
David, your organisation, Quilliam, works with a lot of people who were once radicalised and,
Indeed.
and no longer are. How easy will it be when she gets home to, I don't know, I don't know what the right phrase would be, but get her on the right track?
Well, with young people who've been in prison, the first thing that you need to do in prison is to rehabilitate them. And in the area of terrorism, we describe this as de-radicalisation. But in many ways, it's really no different from rehabilitating young people who've been drawn into crime. There's an ideological element to this, of course, and she will have been persuaded by theologians and authority figures that Islam requires you to create an Islamic State. Now, a number of my colleagues who have fought with terrorist organisations or who have been involved in radical Islamist organisations have put great effort into creating an analysis which shows that that is not true, and that never really has been true of Islam, except in the medieval period when Islam was under attack. So it is possible to talk people out of their ideological commitment to jihadism.
The fear for her when she gets back is that whether she wants to or not, she becomes a lightning rod, if you like, for those who support that ideology and indeed those who really don't.
Yes, I mean, it's a terrible situation that she comes back to. She represents a continuing threat to the country and the community in that state, and she is in danger herself.
Well, David, it's very good to come and talk about it. David Toube, thank you from Quilliam.